Hey, what's up, comic collectors and comic book fans? This is Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and we're coming at you today with a video covering a topic that is pretty interesting. We're going to see some news that's been revealed about what one of the comic book creators from the 90s, who had a huge hand in shaping the Marvel Universe for a certain period of time, has to say about what's happening in Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness. So first, let's get everybody up to speed. Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness is the highly anticipated sequel to the first Doctor Strange film and going to be the next installment in the major MCU pictures. It's slated to come out in May, and this will be the next big film following up No Way Home in the MCU. Now, we already know, obviously from the title, obviously from everything we've seen building up to this, that the multiverse is going to play a huge role in what's going on in this film and the next chapter in Doctor Strange's story. And there have been a lot of rumors swirling about what's going to happen in this film as far as who is going to appear in it. With a title like the Multiverse of Madness, you have to assume there is going to be cameos from across the multiverse, of course. And it's very clear that Marvel and the MCU have been heading in this direction with things like What If, kind of exploring the multiverse and talking about that a little bit, with things like No Way Home, and with obviously Multiverse of Madness coming out. Also with WandaVision a little bit too, getting thrown in there, and how that's going to lead into the events of Doctor Strange 2. So I will warn you, the next portion of the whole video here is going to cover something that could potentially be spoilers. We don't really know because they are rumors, but if you don't know or you haven't seen this news yet, just be warned, there are potential spoilers coming up. So first, let's just go over the characters that have been rumored to appear in this film. And this is a Screen Rant article from Cooper Hood. I want to give credit to the article here before we get into the meat of it, but they did do a very good job of recapping who's rumored to be appearing in the Multiverse of Madness. First up, obviously, Hugh Jackman, possibly reprising his role as Wolverine. That's been one rumor. A big one is either James McAvoy or Patrick Stewart reprising his role as Professor X, or their roles as Professor X, I should say, or possibly both. And then a big one, Tom Cruise apparently playing Iron Man. A very interesting choice here. We don't know if this will be a alternate version of Iron Man proper, as in Tony Stark, or if it'll be some other version of Iron Man, like an AI Iron Man. We really don't know. Also, a fan casting that's been in the works for a while, John Krasinski taking on the role of Reed Richards. That's a rumor that's been caught up in this. Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man. That makes a lot of sense considering recent events. You've got Patrick Stewart or James McAvoy reprising their roles as Professor X. Why not Michael Fassbender as Magneto? Sophie Turner possibly coming back as Jean Grey. And this is pretty interesting too. There's also some rumors that Black Bolt could be considered for this movie as well. Another one is Ghost Rider, which is why you've seen some Ghost Rider books of Spike recently. And Deadpool, of course. Deadpool makes sense actually more than a lot of these characters, in my opinion, that you could potentially see Deadpool, but that would also probably be a very distracting moment in the film if that did happen. How about Captain Carter? That one makes a lot of sense considering What If. Loki could also make sense. Timelines, multiverses, Kang, all this coming together makes sense to me. And when you have Loki, why not get Sylvie? And of course, Mobius and Mobius, Owen Wilson himself. Wow. Monica Rambeau coming fresh off of her role in WandaVision. Holy crap, Hydra Steve Rogers. Could you imagine Chris Evans coming back as a Hydra Steve Rogers? That would be pretty crazy. And finally, his strings have been cut. It is James Spader returning as Ultron for the final rumored character that we've seen potentially coming back for this movie. Now, if you're wondering where all this is coming from, it's supposedly coming from this screen leak, or supposed screen leak, from the credits for Doctor Strange 2. And I think this is the original source of this. If it's not, correct me in the comments down below. But MCUverse on Twitter posted this. A lot of names jump out to you. Some are not surprising at all. We knew America Chavez was coming to this movie. Makes sense that all those characters would return. If you're wondering about the second Doctor Strange you see listed there, that is the actor who played Doctor Strange back in the 70s. Ben Affleck as Matt Murdock Daredevil. That is extremely surprising. Hyperion, Henry Cavill, Reed Richards as Ian Griffith. So that has the whole FF team returning. Hugh Jackman, X-23 coming back, Jean Grey, Sophie Turner, all these different interesting, different castings we see here. I mean, we're even talking like January Jones, Tony Daniels is going to be playing a version of Remy LeBeau, Chris Potter, both Quicksilvers, get Agatha Harkness back in there, freaking Spider-Gwen. You got Tom Cruise as Tony Stark, a couple different versions of the Hulk, including Lou Ferrigno and Ed Norton. Not to mention, of course, a bunch of people that have already been in the MCU that would make total sense to return for this film. But this is just an interesting list of characters. Okay, so why are we talking about this again? This isn't necessarily news. I mean, to some people it probably is, but this isn't something that is brand new. Well, we're talking about it because apparently Rob Liefeld has confirmed some of these leaks. Now, we're referring to the Screen Geek article from Jacob Dressler, which was published a couple days ago. And in this article, we see some quotes from Rob Liefeld when he was in an interview on a show called The Big Thing with Christian Harloff on YouTube. So according to Rob Liefeld, he said that there's basically been a lot of test screenings going on. And quotes from him, "Here's the deal. You all know, I want to know, have either of you been caught trying to sneak into a screening of Doctor Strange 2? They are testing the shit out of this movie. The thing is, they're testing, it's all getting out. We're all guilty of hitting those hashtags. There's always that one guy because here's how I know. I think it's safe to say some of the stuff you just said that's out there, it's happening. It's been seen. And so, dude, give us lots of that." He goes on to say that Marvel actually seems to want even more cameos in the film after the test screenings. To quote him, he says, "But yeah, Doctor Strange, to answer that other question, and whatever they're testing, I kind of feel like each result of each test that's being reported in the press is we need to put more cool shit in that movie." And he goes on to say, "You want me to see it 6 times, you bring some of that Fox Marvel stuff in, and actually I know on some level some of it is already there. I have just revoked every one of my Marvel passes just got revoked." Okay, Rob Liefeld is an interesting guy. I'm not saying that Rob Liefeld is correct about this. I'm just saying it's an interesting data point. It's an interesting level of extra addition to this. Rob Liefeld does have a vested interest in some of those Fox characters, especially Deadpool, coming into the MCU. He is a part owner of that character, and he does stand to benefit from that, of course. But still, I think it's interesting that this stuff's getting out there. We have more and more leaks. It's hard to say how much of it's true. Personally, I think the credits leak looks a little shopped to me, or there's a bit of a halo around each of the listings. So it looks like either there was some brightness issues with the picture that was taken, or however that photo was taken. It does appear to be a little interesting. I also don't know that that's how the credits would be listed out. So I think that's highly suspect. But a lot of these people that have been rumored to be in here, now we have somebody like Rob Liefeld who has a chance to know, saying, yeah, it's in there. He's not saying I think it's in there. He's not being told I've heard it's in there. He's saying it's in there. So just another data point that I think we need to examine. And for my comic book collectors out there, what does this mean for you? I do think this means that there's a chance that, if you have one of those characters that you're interested in and you've been kind of waiting for that comic book, now might be that time to pull the trigger if you have the funds. Of course, all this could turn out to be not true, but I think that Marvel, having the style they've been going for, the flashiness, the panache they've been going for, and talking about the multiverse, there's going to be some characters in this movie that we don't expect. A Tom Cruise's Iron Man, a Tom Cruise's Iron Man fits that bill for sure. Interesting stuff. I think Tom Cruise, especially if it was a one and done kind of a thing, he might be interested. If there's a huge, reaction to his portrayal of Iron Man, maybe he'd want to come back. We just have to see. But most of the right stuff has been sorted out. We're not talking about Spider-Man so much in this particular movie. So we're not talking about Sony. Marvel / Disney has reacquired the rights to most of these characters. So it's something I definitely think we could see happen. And I'm really curious what you guys think. I want you to let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching this video, everybody. Can't wait for the Multiverse of Madness in May. This should be pretty exciting. And I want to remind you, as always, hey. Read comics every day.